Hello, my name is Ali Haeri, and thank you so much for this opportunity to tune into my SMX presentation. You've certainly been hearing a lot about connected television, and I imagine everybody here has some level of exposure to search marketing, hence the conference that we're all attending here. And so, what I wanted to do today is kind of talk about how a lot of what you understand about search marketing can carry over into connected television. Now, a little bit about myself. I am vice president of marketing at Mountain. In my free time, I teach. I teach a search advertising course at UCLA Extension, and I've done a ton of search advertising. At my core, I'm a B2B marketer. I've built B2B marketing organizations. Demand gen has been my fixture of my entire career. So really, today, I just want to kind of disarm everyone and let them know that let you all know that I'm one of your peers. This is just a peer-to-peer chat, and let's kind of dig right into it. And so, paid search is facing a lot of changes in the coming year. We're hearing a lot about that. We'll discuss a lot of those changes actually in this presentation. What I'm here to kind of talk about is that connected TV sort of rises above a lot of that volatility that you see on paid search as a channel. And it could be actually a really reliable channel for marketers. It certainly is for us. We use our own platform as advertisers, and it's certainly a reliable channel for us. And I want to kind of speak from the perspective not of a person who works for a connected TV platform, but again, as a B2B marketer who has a huge, dependency on paid search, just as a lot of people do, but has also found a new, really reliable channel in connected TV. So I'd love to today just kind of talk to you, show all my notes, show you exactly what it is that we're doing with all of these channels, and hopefully it may inspire you as you think about your channel mix for the new year. So what we'll talk about today is first, we'll go over some of the big headlines in terms of what's happening in the world of paid search, either now or in the coming months. Then we'll talk about what I've been kind of teeing up here, which is how CTV can supplement your strategy. We're not asking anyone to move away from paid search and move that into connected television. Instead, what we're saying is if you have a reliance on paid search, you're going to love what you hear about CTV, and together they can be very impactful. And then finally, we'll talk about CTV as a demand gen channel. This is certainly what it's been for us as a B2B brand, and you can use it the same way as well. Now, the big headline here, I think the thing that is most provocative to a lot of B2B marketers is the fact that CTV can be thought of as a performance marketing channel. I think a lot of marketers, when they look at connected television, they just kind of carry over a lot of their understandings of linear TV advertising. They think it's expensive, hard to measure, and the audiences are hard to target. These are sort of the classic gripes that a lot of marketers have when it comes to traditional or what we call linear TV advertising. And a lot of them probably carry that perception over to connected television. And the point that I want to make here is that connected television can go beyond just being a channel that you use for reach, really simulating all the things that you would think you would be doing on linear. Instead, it looks and behaves like a performance marketing channel. And we'll show you plenty over the course of this presentation that really helps make that case. Now, performance is the key, and as I mentioned already, we are performance marketers ourselves. My core competency is in performance marketing. We have a large team here at Mountain. We run a performance marketing platform. That's what we are, and therefore, the performance marketing team at this company has to be incredibly talented to represent us best. Now, in terms of how we run as a B2B operation, just to kind of get a sense of what it is that we do, we're doing a lot of the same things that I suspect you all do. We have a content marketing machine. We mobilize that content with our demand gen program. We both generate and capture existing demand. This is going to be a theme that comes up throughout this presentation. And we light up as many channels as we possibly can that make sense for the purpose of our demand gen campaigns. Now, the big sort of consideration here, at least specifically in this moment in time, is the fact that paid search for us isn't performing to the same degree that it always has. What I mean there is that there's no jeopardy here that we would walk away from paid search or even kind of pare down what we're doing there. But when we're looking for opportunities for growth, we're just not really seeing that on paid search right now. And just generally speaking, search broadly is going through a lot of volatility. And we'll get to some of those updates in just a moment. Because of that need to continuously grow and identify ways to open up that pipeline of leads for the sales organization, we invite any new viable channel that can come help us meet those goals. And that's been the sort of serendipitous thing about connected television for us. We don't just talk about it every day and try to get marketers excited about it. We've been able to use it ourselves to increase our own lead flow for our own sales team. Let's talk about some of the headlines that are happening in the world of search, both paid and organic, in the next couple of months and how that may impact marketers before we get into all the CTV content. First is just algorithm updates. We just saw the big helpful content update that went through and all of the that went through on Google. And what we saw there is basically a sign of what the future of search results actually are, which is the search results, rather than historically just being a presentation of web pages that seem relevant to what someone searches, the search engine results page itself is becoming a utility for users. The frustration for a lot of users here is the fact, for a lot of marketers, I should say, has been the fact that every time Google introduces something like a helpful content update or a helpful content sort of widget on a search engine results page, it sort of disincentivizes a click because all of the information that someone is looking to glean is just presented in line in the search engine results page. And with this helpful content update specifically, what we've been seeing is that a lot of the updates have been oriented around the quality of content that's been created. We have no gripes with that whatsoever. That certainly makes sense to prioritize good content. But it's also just going to create every time there's a big algorithm update. It's there's always this big moment that happens after that update where SEOs really just need to kind of reevaluate things and kind of reset their strategies. And so that volatility, while it makes sense and it's certainly an expected part of the life of an SEO, it continues to be a challenge for people to constantly try to reverse engineer and make sense of what the implications are of a lot of these updates. CTV, by contrast, it's a pretty predictable ad channel. We know how it works. We know the rules of the game. It's not really exposed to any sort of thing like an algorithm update. It's a pretty straightforward proposition. People are streaming TV, streaming ad-supported television. There's going to be commercial breaks, and ads need to be placed in those commercial breaks. That fundamental proposition has not changed, and it will not change for the future. So there's an inherent predictability involved with connected television compared to that volatility that we just see on search. And along those lines, and I kind of talked about this just a moment ago, is the things to know sort of widget that we see on the page. We're seeing a lot of these sorts of widgets that are being added to the page. There's a lot of kind of inline results just immediately. If you ask a certain question to the search engine, you're just presented with the answer, and buried underneath that paragraph of the answer to the question that you're looking for is the actual link to the content that that was the source of the answer to the question. So again, the search engine experience is kind of evolving into a place where it's prioritizing delivering the answers to queries in the search engine experience. And again, it's disincentivizing clicks. And so again, when you're considering that compared to the opportunity of advertising on television, the difference here is the fact that you're not competing with all sorts of not just other pages on the results page or these new widgets that Google is placing on these pages to deliver some sort of answer. The ad experience is a lot simpler in this case. It's a full screen ad. It's non-skippable, and people need to see it to continue the content that they're looking at. And with regards to completion rates, a completion rate is the rate in which people see the whole ad. The completion rates that we see on our platform are well over 98%. So you do have a captive audience, and you don't need to worry about all of these user experience updates that Google is making to the page experience, that may kind of drive down your results, or just make it harder for someone to find your result and to get a click. And so automation is certainly important. It's a fixture of all major performance marketing platforms. That's why we like them. But on the flip side of it, a lot of times we use automation at the expense of visibility and insights. And this is something that we've been noticing as we've evolved our campaigns, like a lot of you have, to Performance Max campaigns and Google Ads. The frustration that we have there is that we've been sacrificing a lot of insights into the delivery of these campaigns. A lot of times, even if you're using automated bidding strategies, for example, the great thing about it is that you can still look at that granular data in return and use that to optimize campaigns, or to get inspiration for new campaigns based off of where the placements actually landed. But with Performance Max, which Google is really kind of pushing everybody towards, we're noticing that we're missing a lot of the delivery level data that was useful for us to optimize our account broadly. And so to this end, it's like a lot of these platforms where it's a little bit of a black box, and you just have to trust that the results land in the right place, and just live with the top line KPIs that they're giving you. And you're just not going to get that level of visibility that you're kind of used to back when you were just manually managing these campaigns. CTV, on the other hand, it's pretty nice in this sense because you kind of get the best of both worlds. You have the ability to have your campaigns optimized for you on an ongoing basis. These campaigns, specifically on the Mountain platform, are optimized on an ongoing basis for you. It's totally automated. All you need to do is provide your goal and your total budget, and the platform takes care of the rest. However, you're going to receive the visibility into the delivery of your campaign, which you're kind of losing out on some other platforms that are letting automation kind of take the wheel. Just a couple of examples of some really useful reports that some advertisers use, including ourselves on the Mountain platform. One is network reporting. So fundamentally, CTV is programmatic advertising, but instead of websites, in this case, we have publisher apps on televisions. And so a network report is really useful for us to really identify over the course of our campaign where were our ads being delivered the most. And then, and from there, you can just kind of dig into the data even further. You can get a sense of performance by specific network. Same with audience segment reporting too. If you're running a campaign where you're layering on several audiences, what's useful is as the campaign's delivering, you could start looking at reporting to understand the performance of the campaign by each audience segment. So again, in this case, this is a highly automated channel for an advertiser, but you're still getting tremendous visibility into the mechanics of this campaign, and you're getting granular level reporting to help inform you as you create these subsequent campaigns. Another sort of benefit of this visibility into reporting too is if you're an advertiser that also does linear TV advertising, say you do actually buy ads on traditional television as well, what we have is a lot of advertisers that use campaigns that run on the Mountain platform to inform their linear TV media buys. So they'll use this platform to test out different types of creative, or to see what the network reporting shows, where were most of their audience over the course of the delivery of their campaigns, and they'll use those findings to inform their linear TV media buys. So there's a lot of useful insights that come out of the delivery of these campaigns. Now, attribution is tremendously important. Obviously, it's a huge fixture of our lives as people who work in demand generation. And in 2022, Google rolled out their updated data-driven attribution system. And so the cool thing about DDA is that it seems thoughtful. It's not a bad system at all, but it does have some drawbacks to it. First is just kind of the ramp up time. the algorithm really just needs a certain amount of data to kind of give it some momentum to be able to deliver some accurate results. The other consideration here too is that you need eligible conversion actions for this system to even work for you. And so what we see here is kind of the threshold minimums that you see to be able to be eligible for using a solution like this. Everyone needs attribution, but not everyone will necessarily have these eligible conversion actions to be able to take advantage of this feature. And so something like using Mountain in this case is there's no minimums to hit. Our attribution system works on day one. And what's important to understand is how this attribution system works too, because understandably, a lot of marketers may look at this and think, well, how do you bridge that gap from a television impression to a website visit? And it's a very valid question, and let's actually talk about that. Mountain has a proprietary technology called verified visits that does exactly this. And essentially, the way verified visits works is everything starts with the TV impression inside the household. So a TV impression, a commercial break comes up as someone's viewing ad-supported TV in their living room. A TV impression is shown to full completion. What happens from that point there is that since every Mountain client has a pixel live on their website, just as you do for every other performance marketing platform that you use, you implement some sort of conversion pixel site-wide on your website. That pixel is monitoring traffic to your website uh, indefinitely. And it's looking for traffic from users in households that were served TV ads. So as users are visiting your website, the Mountain Pixel is evaluating each one of those visits to see if that visit is coming from a device within the household that was served a TV impression. Now, what's particularly nice about this specific system is the fact that it's an honest system in that it automatically deduplicates, and it also makes sure to not take any credit for any sessions that may have been driven by some other paid source. So suppose in this example, a TV impression was served, and then a device in that household, searched your brand on Google and clicked the paid search result for your brand and entered your website by way of that paid search click. Mountain would not take credit for that because there was another paid channel that actually drove that user's visit directly onto the website. So we would defer credit in that case to paid search. Same with any sort of click that comes from a social media campaign, for example. So the system is fair in the sense that it'll delineate between a direct visit or an organic visit that was likely stemmed from the TV impression versus something that was driven from a click specifically from another channel that you were running. Another thing that's important for a lot of advertisers in terms of understanding the impact of their advertising is incrementality testing. Incrementality testing is something that's foundational to a lot of advertising apparatus that advertisers create specifically to differentiate whether a channel is driving traffic and performance on its own, or if the momentum of the brand on its own would have driven that conversion performance or traffic performance otherwise. And with Mountain, we recently actually just rolled out a native incrementality solution that helps you do just this. And it runs by default on any prospecting campaign that someone runs on the platform. And this has been exciting for advertisers to be able to see the direct impact of their television campaigns. And it's also done in a quite conventional way as well. One thing that we've noticed from a lot of competing solutions is, a lot of, you know, different considerations or constraints to the incrementality solutions that others are providing that oftentimes reveal a pretty self-serving result for the platform, whereas the version that we're running on Mountain is quite conventional in a good way. This is a pretty conventional incrementality solution in a good way. We really want people to just get honest results from these incrementality studies, and so we've been excited with the adoption of this feature from all of our advertisers. Finally, there's this idea of an over-reliance, and we've certainly been in this situation ourselves, which is we develop this over-reliance on paid search, specifically for B2B marketers. We find ourselves using paid search quite a bit. Now, the good thing about paid search, and I find myself, explaining this to my students all the time because there's so much good about it, and the performance oftentimes is so good. They think that it's just it's a silver bullet for all use cases. Now, it's certainly a silver bullet in the case of people who are in market in categories that are already well established. The reason why paid search works so well for B2B marketers is that in B2B marketing, we're selling to people who are in a research phase. People are looking to procure some sort of service or product, and they're researching that. Search is the ultimate tool for facilitating that type of research. And so, paid search advertising is just kind of the perfect tool for a lot of B2B marketers. The problem here is, though, that if you're looking to generate demand, if you're looking to seize upon an audience that isn't explicitly searching for your product or solution, and you want to put that bug in your head that that such a service exists, then it's going to be hard to do that on paid search. I've seen a lot of products that were new to market or industries that are entirely new really struggle with paid search, and that's because the users aren't there. They don't have the instinct to go onto a search engine to look for something that they don't know already exists. And so in this case, connected television makes a whole lot of sense because you can generate new demand with this channel. And what the way that this really works well is based off of the audience targeting that you do. Um, to this end, connected TV on a platform like Mountain should feel quite similar, quite familiar, I should say, to a lot of social media marketers. So any sort of audience-based targeting that you've done, you could bring that same exact skill and sensibility to a platform like Mountain. You're probably used to on a social media platform going in and inputting audience demographic data or choosing in-market audiences or affinity-based audiences or any other audiences that are profiled by some sort of user demographic or some sort of firmographic data. All of that can be done on a platform like Mountain as well. So, especially when you consider this to the alternative of linear TV, where the targeting is based off of TV network and TV show, that's really far off. That's really hazy, as opposed to something like this. So, in our case, we sell to marketing professionals, people who are in advertising, and so we do exactly that. We go into our own platform, and we target people who are known marketing and advertising professionals. There's also other methods of targeting as well. So, in the case of prospecting, that's where these audiences are certainly useful. But there's other types of targeting that you could do as well. So there's retargeting audiences that you can do where you're retargeting site traffic with your television advertising, and also CRM-based targeting. So matched audiences. So specifically for B2B marketers that are doing ABM campaigns, this is very useful where you can take your ABM target lists, upload those into a platform, and use that as the basis for your targeting. So targeting TV in this sort of way really extends you in a way that definitely you can't do on linear, but is also highly differentiated from the way that you're doing it on paid search, where you're just seizing on a search query. In this case, you could proactively go out there and prospect out people who may not even be looking or thinking about your product or service. So as we wrap up here, just a couple of key takeaways. As we talked about, paid search and just search broadly has a lot of changes that are coming in 2023, and it always will. Just again, the life of someone who works in digital marketing, specifically with search involved, is that it's always going to evolve. And Google is understandably prioritizing the user experience. That's why a lot of us use it as users. But it's always going to create challenges for marketers. And there's this game of constantly reverse engineering a lot of these algorithm updates and trying to figure out within reason what changed and how to kind of optimize our content strategy based off of that. It's a game of cat and mouse to that end, and it can be frustrating for a lot of marketers. Connected TV, on the other hand, provides a great deal of stability and predictability. and reliability for a lot of advertisers, which is certainly welcome in a time where, you know, like us, you may be in a place where all of your channels are humming and you're just looking for some sort of incremental improvement. There's no optimizations left inside paid search to hit on that's really going to help you turn the corner and generate, a new, reach a new plateau in lead flow for your sales organizations. And so connected TV for us certainly was exactly that. It presented a new channel that drove a pretty substantial amount of lead flow for us, but also traffic. If your objective as a digital marketer is just getting traffic, it certainly does that too. We're in a place right now where pretty reliably about 25% of our traffic on a monthly basis is driven from our connected television campaigns. So it's a lot to consider for a lot of search dependent marketers. But again, if you're in the same situation as me and you're looking to bring on a new channel and to try to hit a new plateau in terms of demand, this really is something that you should be considering in the new year. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you for watching. Click the agenda link at the top of your screen to choose your next session.